What's up, guys? Welcome to Mindscapes. And today we are super excited to basically expand the series into having promoters, label owners, and bloggers and so on. And the first expansion is having Rahil, aka Strain from Replicant Records. We're super excited to have you in the studio. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
Sure, man. So just, I think, give us a rundown of Replicant, yourself as Strain, like how you got into the scene, how you got to be Replicants and so on.
Yeah, it's a bit of a long story. I'll try to cram it in a bit. But I think I started going to parties around 2004 when I went to India and was going to Goa quite a lot and going to the hilltop parties. And that's my first entry into Psytrance, I think. And I really enjoyed it back then, but I didn't really understand it very much. And then I moved to Cape Town in about 2007 to go to university here. And that's when I started going to the parties out here. And I absolutely loved it. I saw the music was very different. The organization of the parties, the culture, the community was something I just really wanted to be a part of. I think from there, I watched a few acts that I really, really enjoyed. One was Deliriant, another one was Rubik's Cube. And I made friends with them and I did a few courses. And from there, I started getting to know the scene. I met you, of course. You were actually quite a big person in the beginning when I come and met you out at the, what was it, Bang Bang Club or something that. You were doing your parties.
That was our Thursday nights.
That's exactly the Thursday night parties. And I think just networking and kind of now starting to get into the scene. At that time, the Twilight scene was kicking. Higher Ants, Frozen Ghosts in South Africa, and then a big Mexican community, Brazilian community. So the Twilight scene was kind of where we got in. The owner of the label, Richard Sloan, who's from Australia, he at the time was signed to MMD Records, which is also very Twilight heavy. And I think our passion for our love for Psytrance came in that whole Twilight scene. We did it for a few years. I think we started in about 2011, the label, and we ran until about 2015, 2016. And we were really pushing that Twilight scene. But of course, like with all genres of music and cycles that come in and out, the Twilight scene kind of dwindled down. I also moved back to Kenya. Richard Sloan had a lot of work to do. So we took a bit of a hiatus and we actually took 6 years off, took a bit of a break, and then we restarted the label again in 2022. And I think that at that time, it was all about redeveloping our sound. The whole world had moved more into this more psychedelic genre, and we definitely had a passion for it, but we didn't really understand where we wanted to go with it. But one thing after the other, we started talking and we started getting a few tracks together. And yeah, we basically started putting out a few EPs and a few VAs, and we've now been able to cultivate our sound. I think right now at this stage, we're 3 years in. Our sound is very defined for me anyway. We showcase a variety of nighttime psychedelic sounds from fast-paced, low-paced, high-key to low-key. And we have a few amazing artists that's on the label that have been very supportive. So it's been quite a wild journey, I would say, over the last 15 years plus of being in the scene. But where we are right now is, I'm very happy with it. And I think that we have a lot planned coming up for the next 2 years. We're basically full up with the releases. We've got lots of VAs coming out. We've got new artists signing. We've got new DJs signing to the label. And I think the world of Psytrance has changed a lot, especially with the social media and how we advertise and things like that. So I think we're very lucky to have the opportunity that we have. There's a lot going on out there. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of good quality producers. And I think that initially we were just more focused on building our sound. We weren't too worried about hiring too many artists and pigeonholing ourselves into one sound. We just wanted to get out there and kind of explore and experiment. And I think even today, if you look at our VAs, we have a very big variety of sounds that come out on our releases. And we want to keep showcasing that. There's so much amazing talent out there that we're always constantly looking to explore that.
Yeah, for sure. And yourself, you don't produce?
No, myself, I do not produce at all. I have tried it, and I think it's for some people, but that's a full-time job. I think managing the artist and managing the label, I am a manager. I think by trade, my skills are good at managing things. So I have more passion for DJing. I really love mixing. Like going up and mixing your own tracks is always really fun. Testing out which tracks work well, building a full set, building the flow, building the story with a bunch of different artists with different styles has always been really fun for me.
Yeah, for sure. And you've been playing some parties in Kenya, spreading the psy-trance there. I know that because it's not a genre that's really expanded in Kenya. No. But it's cool to see that You like holding that flag there?
I'm trying. I've been flying that flag for a few years now. Honestly, Kenya isn't very much a psychedelic scene. I think it's more the culture. You know, we need a psychedelic culture to bring in that kind of psychedelic sound. Afro house is huge in Kenya, and as much as I've tried to play, I played an earth dance in Nairobi, and I've done a few gigs around. People do enjoy it, but they just don't understand it. And I think when you have a party and you don't have other psytrance DJs before and after you, and there's no flow, going from Afro house to psytrance back to Afro house again, it's a bit weird. You know, it doesn't work at all. No. And yet I'm still trying. There are actually a couple of artists in Kenya that have started to come up. I think there's one that's signed to Xenon at the moment. I forget his name. But I think the scene is going to have more variety in that, but it is purely an Afro house dominated scene, you know, so there isn't much room to bring that on, especially when you look at like production scale for events, you know, how we set up the parties, the sound, the kind of rig that happens there. Like we just don't have that kind of output, and because you don't have that kind of quality production in Kenya, it makes listening to the psytrance a bit harder. You know, it's not as clear, it's not as good vibe, it's a bit hard to manage, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. So now when you came down to SA, you were exploring these parties, and did you know psytrance before when you came down here, or you just kind of stumbled on it here and started going to these events and then like got inspired by it and then started DJing?
Yeah, I mean, I knew a little bit about it, but at the same time, there was also this whole trance, this normal prog trance culture where Armin van Buren's and stuff was still doing like pretty well. Exactly, and we were going to a few of these parties at the Velodrome and stuff like that. So I kind of had an idea of what the difference between psytrance is and all these other kind of music, but I didn't really understand it until I started going to parties all the time, meeting the artists and understanding and watching a lot of different artists and how the sound progresses through an event. I think that was something that I really learned. You know, nighttime is nighttime, daytime is daytime, sunset, sunrises have their times and have their places, and being able to create that flow, which I don't see in some of these other genres, you know? It's very, when you go to an Afro house party, I don't really see very much flow, some of it, maybe it's just because I don't really understand it that well, but I think that there's a lot of variety.
Sound through the whole
time. It's a similar sound.
Psytrance kind of has that, like build up and come down.
Exactly. And maybe people who don't listen to psytrance will think that it all sounds the same, but to me, it doesn't. There's so much variety in it that it gives you a lot of freedom and a lot of room to explore, especially when you're doing your performances and doing your sets. Like, it's great being a DJ. You can play in the morning or at night, and you have a lot of different varieties on how you want to take that set through, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, it's always like when I'm picking tracks, I'm like, okay, let's find the first two tracks and then like feel with a vibe where you're going from there.
You kind of have a basic structure.
Sometimes it like ends up like super crazy, sometimes like energetic.
Look, I've always had a passion for the more nighttime kind of vibe. I was a huge metal fan when I was younger, you know, listening to Slipknots and things like that. So the darker style kind of always took me a little bit more on, but you know, like I like the high energy. I like having high energy on the stage. I like you know, full on sounds and rolling bass lines. I think that works very well for my vibe, and it does showcase a lot of what the label likes to do as well. I
definitely find the Twilight, the new Twilight is more funky and groovy than all the Twilight. I found all the Twilight was like very more aggressive, you know, the higher pitched sounds and more stabs. Now there's like a more of a groove. The bass lines are moving and grooving, and the sound is like definitely like expanded massively, and the concentrations of sounds within it, you know.
It was a lot less groovier back in the day, that's for sure. We had lots of big like drops and crazy stuff and lasers everywhere, pure kind of vibes. The groove is there right now, and I still think that gives a very good energy, and it also helps tie the entire track together, you know, not make it too monotonous. I think for an artist, it's much better when he has that opportunity to make his bass line move around a little bit towards the end of the track, and it puts a real story to the track and avoids that monotonous kind of nature.
And then you guys have collected a quite a nice lineup of artists on the label now in a short space of time. Like, what was your objective with this? I know you said you have more live acts than DJs. Like we spoke about as well, that it seems that production is the new DJing kind of thing, even though DJing is still massive, but production seems to be an exploration of one's single creativity instead of just like showcasing a variety of artists?
Yeah, look, it's a tough one, that one. I would say that, look, it's easier to understand your sound if you're a producer than a DJ. We are always looking for DJs, so if you've got some good mixes, do send them through. We're always willing to check them out. But I think that it's always been a bit harder for a DJ to showcase their sound, especially for us, you know? Whereas when you have an artist, they definitely have a sound. We know whether we can relate with them, and that way we know whether, you know, it would fit to the label. Yeah. So it's taken us some time. Our first year when we started the label, we had an agreement that we weren't going to sign any artists. We're like, we're just going to put out compilations, put out the sounds that we really like. And from there, I know things will slowly fall into place. And they did. Surely but surely, we got a few artists that, okay, so Nightcrawler was the first one. So Triumbucker, he always was he was with Old Replicant. He was putting out all the very noisy kind of Twilight vibe. And he's really developed. I would say, you know, we've been back and forth with him with his new sound, and he's been able to put in that psychedelic element with keeping that kind of aggressive kind of nature, but also having that groovy bass line that he didn't have before in the past because it was all stabby and aggressive. So I think
but he was quite musical though.
He was very musical and very melodical. And I think that's what it is. Like back in the day, our bass lines used to be a lot more consistent and stabby, and then we used to have all the melodies on top of it. Whereas now a lot of that melody comes from the grooviness of the bass line, you know, which is what has taken him a long time to develop. But I think with the new album that he's put out, he's done an absolutely fantastic job, you know.
And that's out already? Or
that is coming out in 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Yes, it's coming out in 2 weeks. So he was one of the first artists that we signed, and then from there we just were taking a lot of time to pick and choose the right artist that would fit the label. We weren't very picky with whether it needed to be nighttime or whatever, but whether the kind of sound fit with our kind of, you know, where we wanted it to go. Because sounds always develop. An artist isn't going to stick with that exact same sound 2-3 years down the line. We want to know that they're going to be able to be flexible to adjust with the nature of the world as it is, you know?
Yeah, sounds always evolving, especially now. Like the guys integrating a lot more analog into production now. I see guys like building their own MIDI controllers and like really crazy stuff. It's really interesting to see because it's super immersive. Guys are going like deeper and deeper, and it's cool to see the creativity that's coming out of it. I think I spoke about this with someone else the other day. Sometimes I feel that the creativity is there, but when you are, for instance, playing a piano and a keyboard and you're writing the melodies out, now it's more about like randomizers and creating these patterns, but then chopping those patterns up and then creating melodies from those. So it's such a different approach because essentially, like, yes, you need to understand music fundamentals, maybe not, because you can create these things without even those fundamentals. You know? These machines and software and hardware can create these patterns, and you can just cut it to feel how you are wanting to move to it. Right. Know? So it's crazy because the music is just evolving in ways where we kind of never thought it would go.
Yeah, exactly. While still maintaining that 4x4 structure. I mean, Psytrance is not the most complicated, you know. I mean, with Psytrance and techno, it's a very electronic 4x4 loop structure that's pretty common, you know. But it's amazing what variety people can have, you know, within that, I would say. Yeah.
So now you are traveling around, you're here in SA on holiday. You played a festival recently.
Yes.
This weekend was?
I played at Universal Frequencies Festival out in Ladysmith, which is in the Klein Karoo. That was really nice, well organized by Lily Rose Elson. They had a really killer party out there. A bit smaller, you know, than what I think the South African parties used to be back in the day. But I feel like that's with all the events these days, you know. The scene is definitely different to what it used to be before.
Generally, Cape Town has also moved into not just in Psytrance, but there's so many events happening in every single, not just genre, but like other types of like from food to music to whatever, that the capacities of each have got less.
Yeah.
But there's so many gatherings, you know?
Yeah.
So I think just generally, Cape Town has so much to do. And obviously since COVID has happened with regards to the boutiqueness of things. So it's got even more boutique in Cape Town, you know? So I think events now ranging from 500 to 1,000 to 1,500, maybe to 2,000 are like your average style events, you know.
Definitely.
Where I remember going to Prism, Resonance, like
That
8,000,
sprung with like 10,000 people,
like just like crazy.
Real big numbers.
But now there's just so many things for people to do, and obviously things now have got more expensive, so the capacity in order to do it is a little bit harder. I don't know if I don't have like $5,000 every weekend to go and have a jaw, you know.
No, for sure.
But at least the support is still shown, and the scene is showing that it's growing again, which is awesome.
Yeah, look, I haven't been enough parties to say that the scene is growing again. I mean, I was here at Little Forest last time, and I think that party did kind of okay. But for a New Year's Cape Town party, that was a lot smaller than the old resonances that we used to do. I know that Origin is doing really, really well, and they should, because that's a really high quality production. But I think it's really hard out there for the other organizers. Like, it's not as easy as it was back in the day to just put a lineup together, have a venue, put up a nice sound, and get enough people through the door. You know, and then people do complain about the ticket prices, but I'll be honest, ticket prices in Kenya for events that are way lower production than these ones, you know, go for a lot more. You know, so I think that everybody should do their best to go and support any event that they can, you know, the guys are trying.
The industry is important. Like if you love Psy, the thing is also, I think that people enjoy all types of things. So obviously your house, tech house, deep house parties are doing it, the rock stuff is doing it. So it's just the capacity of events is just so many more now that I think it is difficult to be able to pick and choose what you want to do. But I think Psytrance is obviously still the only ones really that are doing the multiple day festivals. Most of the other guys are doing the single day, one night, or finish at 2 o'clock in the morning, which I struggle with because it's like 2 in the morning. Now you got to drive home. That's pretty hard.
It's still comparing to the European parties, because at the end of the day, European parties are able to have these more than 3-day festival parties, you know. And I had a long chat with Prefix John about this, and it's amazing how the parties in Europe can run 7 days, 5 days and stuff, and it's maybe something that the parties in South Africa would have been able to do before in the past, but nowadays we're just not seeing those numbers throughout the whole 3 days. Your Sunday fun day will probably end up having the most amount of people there, but starting Friday, even if you get 3,000 people through the gate, you're probably not going to have more than 400 people on the dance floor at the same time. I
think that's what I'm loving at the moment. Some promoters are doing no Sunday fun day. It's a commitment to come and support the festival, because for you, in order to put that entire festival up, the Sunday fun day ticket price budget doesn't allow you to actually do the festival. You need the entire budget ticket price to do that. So I think that's good, because it's important to support the industry and to be able to make these promoters that are putting all this effort in to keep this industry growing.
No, for sure.
Have you got, because obviously with Replicants, Australian based as well, got any time that you're going to be heading over to Australia?
Well, there is a plan to head down to Australia in about 2027, I think. I think that's the plan, to head out there. We do have a separate booking agency called Replicant Bookings, and we have been bringing in some artists from around to bring them to a few festivals. We've had Ninsense, Nuno from Reversible, Jack Act 1 is coming down sometime soon, and we've been able to lock in a few bookings in Australia and in New Zealand, you know. So we're also trying to help with artists being able to come down to that side of the world, and it's not very easy. Australia is pretty far out there, and you as an artist, you want to have a few bookings if you're going to get locked in over there, you know. So I mean, that's been one way that we've been able to also support the artists and kind of try and grow the scene on that side of things.
That's amazing. Replicant Booking is going to move worldwide.
We're just feeling things out, you know. I would say that at some point in the future we would like to expand a little bit, but because we have the market in Australia, it's a little bit easier for us to lock in these bookings and to give guarantees to artists who are going to fly down all the way, you know. We're hoping that kind of works out at some point.
Awesome. Any collaboration between us?
I don't know, hey? Are we going to have a little collab? Obviously, of course. We've been friends for a very long time. It's been long overdue. I think a Replicant versus PsynOpticz VA is definitely on the cards.
Watch the space.
Watch the space. I mean, I was very happy. You know, I was looking for a track, and you recommended Solus, and it's probably one of my favorite tracks from what I released. And I got to play after him at Universal Frequencies, which was just really, really nice. And I think the sets went really well together. You know, Solus and then Into Us, like, it was really good sound. And I think the crowd absolutely loved it. He's really good.
One of the best producers out of here, so
he's really rocking it at the moment. So I think together our sounds are going to work really well, and we can make something really nice for the world.
Really looking forward to that. And you plan on coming back to Cape Town soon?
All the time. All the time. Like, I mean, of course, I would love to come down as much as I can. I have a special love for this place, but yeah, as long if I could come down once a year, I would be very, very happy. So yeah, you'll definitely see me a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do like a PsynOpticz Replicants.
We've been
party.
talking about this for a really long time,
That'd be
and I
good,
think
man.
it's gonna happen.
I think
yeah,
Cape
at some
Town needs
point.
it.
Yeah, I think Cape Town definitely needs it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Should come in winter. Winter
Yeah,
be the good
yeah.
one. Winter be the good
And
one.
just talking on that, like, one thing that I've noticed is this whole sunrise session. That's something I want, like
Yeah.
sunrise isn't what it was before.
No.
Packed
I miss
dance
it. I remember being
floors,
in the dance floor
6
for like
o'clock in the
Cliff with
morning.
Twisted System, like 6 dance floor, just back
Yeah.
front, packed.
Packed.
You know.
So what do we do? So should we just cull that time? Maybe shut the music off at 4 o'clock in the morning, be like a Boomtown Fair kind of vibe, 4 to 10, everybody go get a rest. The organizers get to save on their artist fees. The people get to go rest, and then you're guaranteed 10 o'clock in the morning a packed dance floor, I don't know. It's not something I would like, because in the beginning I was always that sunrise DJ.
Yeah,
We used to
same.
just
Like,
and
that
we used
was
to-
the favorite
But
one.
I feel like the parties are missing out on that kind of side at the moment.
And that's
And
like,
it's a bit hard for the
uh,
DJs
uh,
to get booked for that slot.
but that's quite like psychedelic being quite a spiritual experience, like from the music to the drugs to just the experience as a whole. That sunrise also just spiritually is quite an insane experience.
Yeah.
Sunset and sunrise. So that should be like one of the peaks.
Yeah.
Like it's like the restart, the refresh of the day. I don't know, sunrise obviously in summer is super early.
Yeah.
But that time is special, like when that music was just like driving and heaving and just like
taking you from that night, and you're building up into that day.
Yeah, man.
What a critical time. So I'm not really sure about that and what's going to happen with that. But I'm sure the European parties aren't suffering at that time of the morning as much. I don't know.
I hope that picks up again. I don't know, like drop in the comments below as well, like tell us about your experiences of parties around the world for
What's
sunrise.
your favorite time to be on the dance floor?
Yeah, what's your favorite time to be on the dance floor, for sure.
Yeah.
I know my time is all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's having you back in Cape Town, having this chat, also just having a catch up. We went for lunch today and just like just catching up has been amazing. And to hear about what you're doing with Replicants, how we're going to work together as well.
Yeah.
I think that also just shows the solidarity between the scene and the music and the culture and the connection. I think it's super important for
100%.
everyone to see this and for us to support our artists and just work together and grow together.
Support each other. Yeah, the trance community, I think it's a beautiful community all around the world. Wherever you go play and whatever festival you go to, you're always going to connect with a bunch of good people, and we need to support each other. So support your psytrance friend. Go watch your friend's set when he's playing out at 6 o'clock in the morning in the middle of nowhere, and support the scene, because the truth is, in the whole of Africa, South Africa's psytrance scene is one of a kind.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose that.
Just like our locations at the parties,
locations of the party,
the local artists that we have on
always
next level,
quality, lineups,
the
local
production,
artists.
the decor artists, the sound,
Everything,
the rigging,
and even the price for the
crew.
tickets. I think what you pay for tickets here is cheaper than what
Also,
you pay
like
anywhere.
I was saying to someone the other day, so before COVID, it was like $350 to $450 for a ticket for a 3-day festival. Now it's ranging from, if you're getting the early bird, whatever, 900 to 1,500, so on.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, you want to go out for dinner and you want to go to a nice place with your lady, it's going to cost you more than that. So to come to a festival and support the culture, the promoters that are putting all this effort to make this crazy experience for you for 1,500 for 3 days is nothing,
Yeah, I agree.
It's been an incredible experience, and I hope that you guys all go and support that. As well as I saw it was Richie Horton actually that commented recently about supporting producers and the music that's being released. And he was saying not only supporting that in a financial way, but if you love a track, tell everyone about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Share it. Make sure that people hear what your inspiration is from this music, because purchasing music, great, even though Spotify pays nothing, but it doesn't matter. Like, share that track there and say, I love this track. This is insane. Like, we want to find out new artists that you are inspired by. That's the only way that we grow.
Yeah,
like if everyone keeps quiet, nothing's going to grow.
A long way,
so share it, put it in your DJ sets, post it to your friends, WhatsApp it to people, whatever.
All of it helps.
All of that helps and helps grow our underground, yet commercial, but underground. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it's the same underground.
Like, we're underground.
Yeah, we're underground. We're not the commercial. Yeah,
we're commercial. We like the serious underground.
The serious one. Yeah.
So,
but there's space for everything. I think there's space for even the commercial vibes, you know? Everybody should have their space and everybody should be able to go out and enjoy all the kind of music.
No, for sure. Like we're talking as well, like Psytrance having that build up and breakdown from chill out to progressive to full on to twilight to dark to high tech. All that stuff has its space.
Yeah.
Because it's a different energy for a different time. Everything has its space in order to create that journey.
Yeah.
So that's important.
That's fantastic.
And it's amazing for labels like PsynOpticz, Replicant, that we also trying to create a part of that journey by what we're doing. So
100%,
and I hope that by our compilation we're going to create a unique journey there too, and possibly some new sounds.
Definitely there'll be some new sounds in there. Something different will definitely be in there. Yeah. It'll be one of many. I think.
One of many for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely supporting, working with each other. That's how we grow. So definitely.
Brilliant.
Cool, guys. Well, that's Rahil, aka Strain, and from Replicant Records. We'll put all the details to follow Replicant and Strain and Glacial from Australia, the partner, the owner in Australia, and everything that they do. And we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to having you on the next Mindscapes.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much, Calvin. Really appreciate it, buddy.
No worries.